All right. Happy New Year, Jem. Even though I've talked to you
Happy
a
New
few
Year.
times. Happy New
No,
Year to
Happy
the
New
people
Year. I
watching.
forgot. This is the first show of 2024.
It's interesting. I've only messed up the year once, which usually
Mm.
when you were young and you did it all the time. Here,
Well,
only
when
once.
you used to have to write the date on like the top right of your page, that would mess me up for months going into the new year.
I guess that's maybe part of it. I haven't been writing it. I only a few times,
Yo,
so
do you write things down often with like having to handwrite something?
tablet. I carry this with me. I have so many apps on my phone for notes.
So, like the last couple times I've had to write something down, like, yo, your hand will get strained super fast because you're just not used to writing. It's crazy.
Did you know like some schools don't even teach cursive anymore?
Yo, I heard you want to go down a rabbit hole. This could be a future topic. I heard that
Yeah.
they're trying to do that because a lot of old documents are written in cursive, like
So
the
they couldn't read them.
Constitution and such.
That's messed up, man.
So you
Also,
can't
did you
read it.
know this? New Year's Eve, the date was 123 123.
I did know that. Yes, I did. Fee was telling me about it.
Yeah. And I have this little OCD in me, so I love shit like that. Like 12:34 is my favorite time of the day. I love looking at the clock. I'll stare at it. Or like when a car's odometer is, something like 50,000 or one,
Yeah.
two, three, four, five.
Are you into numerology at all?
No,
So there's like this
no.
whole kind of, how they have people that are into zodiac and astrology. There's a whole numerology thing. We'll get caught up on some like Instagram reels of this guy, and he's just hitting numbers and 1, 2, 3, and that's four, and then four.
It's almost like
You could mess around and get sucked into that.
like puzzles, like what you're telling me, and I'm not into it. It reminds me of Dan Brown, Robert Langdon, all those the Da Vinci Code novels and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I read all those actually.
Yeah, they're good. They're good
Yeah.
reads. Yeah,
I read them, and then they ended up making movies out of them. And I think I caught the movies. It was like Angels and Demons and
Mhm.
Da Vinci Code, and they would
Yeah,
do these kind of, I don't know what you call them, like a logo, like it reads one thing, but if you flip it around, it reads something else.
yeah. The spoiler, if you haven't read the books, the Illuminati brand. Yeah, there's a word where it's the same letters upside and down, and
Yeah, I
yeah,
think that was more from the Angels and Demons book, if I recall.
yeah. And I read a few other ones too. I like fiction like that sometimes. When I used to have time, I would
Yeah,
actually read that shit. But
I
yeah, so
hear
it's
you.
a new year.
A lot happening.
2024. 2024.
This is the
That's
year I
nuts.
turned 40 years old, man. I was born in '84.
That's right. Yeah. So a little spoiler for people watching. My 20-year wedding anniversary and Jem's 40th birthday are the same date. So
Yeah,
we'll talk more about that this summer when it comes. But
we'll both be celebrating.
yeah, for very different reasons. 40 was hard for me, man. I mean, I've had a very blessed life and I'm very happy with my accomplishments, but something about it is like your life's halfway done,
Oh
I
yeah, I mean,
mean,
if you're lucky. Well, that's kind of how I felt at 35. I think
yeah.
I already feel like I'm 40 now, so I don't feel like when my birthday comes, it's gonna be like this big hit in the face. I already feel and I have accepted the fact that I'm 40 years old this year.
So, I'm noticing it in my body more and more. And part of it's an unhealthy lifestyle. I mean, shit, I'm drinking whiskey right now for probably the 50th day in a row. But seriously, I was, I travel. So, like yesterday, I
Yeah.
was in the club for like 3 hours and I was on a 4-hour flight in
Mhm.
first class. So, I
The
mean,
Admirals Club, not like the nightclub.
no, yeah. Like the club that comes and feeds you grapes and gives you actually this particular club, because I go to this airport a lot, it's a serve yourself whiskey bar. Or
They
not
didn't know
just whiskey, but all hard.
who they were
Yes. So
messing
for
with.
me, it's dangerous. I just go and pour a whole bottle of the Crown is not my favorite, but that's what I go to there. So anyway, it's 2024, and you and I have, to your point, you're turning 40.
Mhm.
So we've lived in some really cool times. We've lived in two millenniums, 2 centuries, 5 decades,
Yep.
and or for you five. And it's pro. I once saw a study, and I wish I had to back it up. And I'm easing into one of our topics, and we will
Right.
get to Epstein. That's going to be a big topic, but uh, we. I read a statistic, like if you take like back 1800 to 1900, like how quickly things changed It was like a
Yeah.
multiple of 1. Use that as a
Yeah.
baseline. Then 1900 to 1910 was a multiple of 3. And anyway, when you get up to like 1990 to 1991, just 1 year, it's a multiple of like 500.
No, it's
And
crazy how we
how
just
quickly
so
it
happen to
changes.
be born in this time. Like, we were born in the era before the internet was, mainstream. You know,
Before it only exists. It did residentially. It did not exist
right.
when I was a
Or
child. When I was
computers
a kid.
even so, like, when I was in elementary school, we had the computers with the big black, like, the real floppy disks, not the 3.5.
Yep.
And it's so crazy, like, humans have been around for however many years they claim. I mean, we don't really know, but they say hundreds of thousands of years. So how the hell were we born in this era where all of a sudden the technology is just like boom, 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 boom?
Well, I'm gonna one up you. So you said you had to use those computers, DOS-based computers with large floppy
Yeah.
disks. I used typewriters,
Yeah,
so
so
we didn't
you're a
even.
little bit you're a little bit older than me. How much older than me are you?
Well, I don't want to say now because you know I'm very. I'll tell you
Uh,
offline, but I'm
yeah, yeah, yeah.
protective of my age, and
You
they
told me
know.
before, you're old as hell, man.
Yeah, they. I'm very protective of my age. You know, I'll tell you offline, but yeah.
Alright.
So we thought since it's a new year, we originally had this article. When we find stuff we want to talk about on the show, we always try and do current events. Like that's why we're going to hit Epstein in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I found a New Year's article of how much the world has changed, like in the last 50 years. And we don't read. As soon as I find the article, I save it because we don't
So
want to read it
we
because
can
we want a
react
live
to it.
reaction.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, the article was on some website that it's recycled. So we had to call an audible. I have another website I'm going to share. We're going to go through and react. It's a few years old too, but I thought we could even talk about, well, it's changed even since then to now.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But so let me share this and we'll and again, as a disclaimer, I saw the quick headlines and that was it. But yeah, I mean, just thinking back to your point, we went from my phone's over there, but from a typewriter to a slow ass DOS system that was this big to your phone that can wirelessly almost anywhere on the planet compute things at 10 million times the speed.
Man, we've seen it come from nothing. Even when you mentioned phone, remember like having to call long distance or call international, like all those things are a thing of the past. I can call somebody overseas right now through Twitter or through Facebook for free. So I don't know what this list. I don't want to even spoil because then we could even talk about video games, especially you being a little bit older. You would have seen it from Atari
That
to
was our
where.
first.
So we're kind of lucky in that sense that we got to see the very beginning because I asked my kids, what is it like when you like start playing video games and you realize there's this entire backlog of Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and like you were born with the Wii or the Wii
Pong.
U,
Pong is
right?
what I
And
had. Pong was the bomb.
so I always wondered, like, what's it like just seeing all of that that's been there? Because when I got into it, I got into it with Mario on Nintendo. So I did miss Pong and stuff like that, but I basically was there at the beginning of video games,
8-bit. So this article, and I chose this article because a lot of our viewers are a little bit younger than us, and some are
Mhm,
same age, some are older. But this
mhm.
really shows. We talk about the multiplier of how quickly things change. This is just 20 years. So from new millennium, which if you remember, so I was I was college age ish in
Mhm.
new millennium, and me and some friends actually got in a rusty old, huge truck and it did a caravan up to Colorado, ironically, where I live now. And we
Mhm.
went to Aspen and we spent New Millennium in this beautiful house, had like 20 bedrooms. The TV came out of the floor, which at that time was really impressive.
Right.
And we were scared to death that night because we thought government systems would shut down. Best Buy had stickers on your computer, turn
Turn it
off your
off.
computer. Remember
Y2K.
that?
It thought that if it was gonna roll over from 999 to 00, it was gonna,
And
you know.
and for people that haven't seen Office Space or don't know what that was, is when they did computer programming before 2000 to save room for a year, they wouldn't write 1999 in the algorithms and formatting and code. They would just
Right.
put, pretty much, the computer started in the late 70s, early 80s, 81, 82. So when it was going to roll from 99 to 00, they didn't know what was going to happen because even like defense systems were built on that same premise. So they thought the whole world would end and
Yeah.
whatnot. So this is just what's changed in the last
Well,
20
hold on.
years.
Who's to say that it didn't and that we're like in some weird freaking alternate timeline?
Matrix.
Because Shit is getting crazy, man.
That is true. The computers are like, let's fuck with them and see if we can convince them between a reality show host who's a narcissist and a old man who doesn't know which direction to walk in. So, all right. So first one here, and again, we haven't. This is raw. You're now on the internet more than you aren't,
Yeah.
and that's just from 2000. So I remember in the early 90s, we got AOL dial up. You've got mail. I remember that.
Hold
And
on,
you're
wait a minute, wait a minute. So this is saying you're now on the internet more than you aren't from the day this article was published, though, right? From what, 2018?
yeah, 1919, which
Well, put it like
is
this. You used to have, do you remember you used to have to log into the internet? And most people had to do it through AOL, America Online, and you had a hardwire connection, and it would do this like fax machine type of sound effect, right? And then like if somebody picked up the phone in your house, it would disconnect you from the internet. And I
so.
remember when Net Zero came out. Are you familiar with Net
Mhm.
Zero?
Yep.
So Net Zero was like, to me, the first time I heard of a way to access the internet that wasn't on AOL. So you basically would turn on your computer, log into Net Zero, and then you can use Internet Explorer or other types of browsers. But before that, you had to log into AOL. You would use the browser within AOL, or if you were tech savvy enough, you could log into AOL and then pull up like Internet Explorer separately and then be on the internet. But yeah, but now to your point, man, what do you do the first thing you wake up? I mean, me, I'm sure most people, they check their phone. Like you're on the internet as soon as you wake up.
So I got two stories on that. One, when we had AOL and I lived with my parents, back then my mother was traveling somewhere and you can't tell what time flights land. I mean, you just couldn't. They did have scheduled times. Well,
Right.
all of a sudden I'm on AOL and right when it came out and you're on there for hours and someone knocks at our front door and I go and it's one of my mother's friends. She's like, your mother's been trying to call your house for 4 hours. She's been stuck at the airport. Someone needs to go get her.
Because
And it's
someone's on
like,
the internet, so you couldn't get through,
yeah,
right?
because you got the busy signal when you called the home phone. So it's like I felt so bad. But to your point, so I don't sleep very well. Last night,
Same.
I woke up at 11:30. I went to bed, like at 10:30. I woke up at 11:30. I was up from 11:30 to 3 just because I'm weird. And I was on the internet 90% of the time.
Yeah.
You know,
So your eyes don't get hurt. My eyes start hurting, man, by the middle of the day. That's why
no.
these aren't prescription glasses. These are blue blockers.
Well, sometimes too, it depends on what's going on. I might turn the TV on, but I don't want to wake my wife up. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
even though she gets to sleep in every day, and I had to get up at 5. But yeah, so but that's
She, don't, she doesn't work, and you don't have young kids anymore.
hey, I didn't say that. She's probably watching this too. I love
Oh,
you.
look, Fee's in the chat saying the shared family computer. Yeah, everyone had like that family computer, and then
Yeah,
eventually
and
you got your own.
so today you can talk on the phone and use the internet at the same time. That's exactly what we were just discussing. Yeah.
Exactly. What's
All right.
crazy is I'll be on the phone with somebody on speakerphone, and I'll just be on other apps at the same time while I'm talking. It's so crazy now.
So this is really true for me. This next one because I was in Vegas over on Christmas Eve, where you can still smoke in a lot of mostly the casinos. And my
Right.
wife and I were just discussing we hate it because your clothes reek when you walk out of there, and we're so used to that. But my wife back in the 90s, when we started dating, she or yeah, I think we were dating in the late 90s, but she worked at a bar and she was a bartender and a server, and she would come home like back to my apartment reeking of
Mm.
smoke because you could smoke anywhere inside. You see it in the old 80s movies, they smoked in
First of all,
hospitals.
you used to be able to smoke on an airplane, which is crazy. And look, my wife and I, we were dating in 2001, and I will always joke about this. I remember we would go to Denny's with like a group of friends, and I remember distinctly smoking a cigarette and putting it out in like the food that we were finished eating before we would leave. Like smoking in a restaurant. And how about it used to be you had the smoking section and the non-smoking section. Like it
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
all
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
blend in.
I remember that. But smoking in the hospitals is what cracks me up.
Damn, that's crazy. You know what's crazy now too? Like in cities like New York City, you're not allowed to smoke cigarettes on the street. If you smoke a cigarette on the street, they'll look at you like you're crazy. But you can smoke marijuana, no problem. But it's cigarettes, it's like, what an animal. But weed, nobody cares.
So So I'm sure you remember one of the most Frozen movie scenes of all time was a Basic Instinct. Sharon Stone back in her heyday with I
The
think
whole
Michael
leg cross
Douglas.
thing.
Yeah, but she's arrested by the police on suspicion of murder, and she didn't do it. But so she's this arrogant author, and I'm in case you muted it. Some people probably muted it back in the day and froze it on VHS. But she lights a cigarette in the police station, and they go, "Ma'am, you can't smoke in here. It's a federal building." And she goes, "What are you going to do? Arrest me for smoking?"
Yeah, I'm over here being
Like,
interrogated for murder.
yeah, like they have police for that. That's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah, look, Colossus in the chat. I remember ashtrays in the armrest on the plane. Yep. I remember. What about cars? Your car would come with a little lighter, and you had the
Yeah,
ashtrays in the cars.
yeah. That none of them have that anymore. And I think most of that was just the anti-nicotine campaign,
Hmm.
which has worked well. So this I disagree with.
You not get
I
more
think there were
excited about.
great television shows back in the day. I mean, I remember back before TiVo or even before VCRs where you had to watch a show live. Like they didn't even have reruns sometimes.
Yeah, you had to be
So
home at 8:30 because you wanted to catch whatever show. See, I think TV has come in and out. Reality TV, it was exciting, and then it's like it killed the television game. But then I want to give it to like Lost. You had a show like Lost, which was like the best well-written show to come up out of the reality TV
un-
era. And then you had Lost, or you had
until the
Game of.
end.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Lost ending was horrible.
Oh, but I was gonna say Game of Thrones, but that's another one. Like, and until you get to the ending, and then it sucks.
It's hard to end a great TV series well. There's not too many that did it. Like even like
Yeah.
Friends, you think of Friends, the ending wasn't the best. Now on this too, I would also you bring up reality shows, right? One
Yeah.
of my I think it was for my bachelor's degree. One of my capstone projects was on reality shows. So this was back. I think they only had American Idol and maybe Survivor,
Right.
and I did like a 30-page paper on why they're so popular. And it had a ton of reasons, but the biggest reason was that America loves to see an underdog win. We just
Mhm.
do. We love to see, that underdog struggling and make it. And then two, we love to see people fall on their face. And remember when American Idol first came out, it was so popular because Simon would be like, "You're horrible. You should kill yourself."
Yeah.
And we love to watch that.
We love to see people
People
make
fail.
fools of themselves too. I always used to look at it like, TV producers must love this era because they don't even have to hire writers. You just throw a bunch of idiots together and come up with a scene, and boom, let them just act it out however.
So you
I
no
was
longer have to
big.
sit through hoping Napster. So I think we need to give background if you're younger, if you're younger than 30. So
Yeah, yeah.
when internet got on board, you could download. Was it Livewire, LimeWire, the other one?
LimeWire. Well, Napster was first.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Wasn't Napster founded by the same guy who founded Facebook? I forget who was who with
No, he
Zuckerberg and
didn't
somebody
found
else.
Facebook, but he's an owner in Facebook. He helped get
Right.
it on the map. So go
So,
watch
yeah, yeah.
Social Network with
Right.
Justin Timberlake and Jesse
Let,
Eisenberg.
well, let me back it up a little bit before Napster. So what happened was you had music. Everybody would buy CDs.
CD,
Was like the
well,
last one, right?
tapes.
You had
I bought cassette tapes.
cassette tape. Well, before that, they had what? They had records.
Eight
They had
track,
what? 45s. That was way before my time.
eight
But when
track.
the
I had
internet
records
came
when I was
out,
a child.
when the internet came out, the music industry wasn't ready for it. So the internet comes out, boom, people are converting stuff to MP3s or whatever type of files. They make this app Napster where you can basically file share with everybody. So I don't know exactly how it worked, but basically if you were logged into Napster, you were
So
always sharing your files
yeah,
and
so essentially you would take your CD of an album you bought in the store
right.
and you would load it onto your computer and then you could share that to others and you could also pull some of their stuff. And I mean we had those huge books of burned CDs from Napster where you'd use a marker to write on it, hey, Bon Jovi,
But
or
look, the funny thing about that, we would make mixes, right? And we would always just write new shit. So we would be looking through this binder and it'll say new
newest,
shit.
newerest.
And
Yeah,
you put it in there and it's
newest
like
of new.
it's not new shit, it's old shit. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah. And most of the burned CDs could only hold about that's the other thing. And I wonder if it's on this list, but MP3 players. So most of
Yeah.
the CDs could only hold like 13, maybe 15 songs.
But then you ended up getting what, the higher, capacity type of discs that you can, hold more. And I guess Blu-ray discs would come later. I don't know. It's crazy how the file size thing, like, it used to be a computer would have, like, a couple of gigabytes of memory space, but then, they were able to make it, so that you can have
So,
more and more
but
storage in a smaller
but it's
space.
never enough. It's just
Yeah,
like money. It's just like
yeah,
income. You never have enough. I mean, when you made $4 an hour, or I made 3.75 an hour at my first job, it wasn't enough. Then when I
yeah.
made $10 an hour, then when I made 40,000 a year, then when I made 100,000 a year, then we'll leave
Because
it at
you yeah,
that.
because you always tell yourself, "I'm not gonna let my, lifestyle exceed. I'm gonna stay where I'm at and just get more money," but you
Nope.
always up your lifestyle.
Always live within your means.
Yeah.
So people don't understand how fun it was to go to Blockbuster on a Friday night, and you'd spend 45 minutes to 2 hours there, and you'd pick your
Yeah.
first choice. Eventually, you just take home your first choice.
Yeah. Or I would even rent video games a lot because video games cost the same then as they do now. It was $60 for a Super Nintendo
Yeah.
game brand new. So we would go to Blockbuster and for like $5 you could rent the game. And I would always beat the game within the week anyway. My mother would say, "Why am I going to buy you a game? You'll just beat it in 7 days. You might as well rent it." So I would go rent all my games from Blockbuster, and my Blockbuster, like in the late 90s, would have albums, and I was big into music. So I would go to Blockbuster, I'd rent a game, I'd buy an album, I'd buy a magazine. They had snacks and drinks. It was the spot,
It
Blockbuster,
was
man.
it was the place to go though, right? It was an experience in itself going to Blockbuster.
Yeah, it's to the
So
point where I could even see them bringing it back. Like, I think they are coming back, and it's like a retro kind of thing. But it was kind of one of those things where I was too young. But if you were in like your, late teens, early 20s, you might meet chicks there. Like, it's like a spot, like, where you can run into people and shit.
and then before Amazon Prime, obviously Netflix was the leader, but Netflix originally was a mail order
Yeah.
DVD. So some
Yep.
people don't know that you would sign up for Netflix, and you could have, depending on your plan, which was a certain dollars per month, you could have, anywhere from 1 to 5 DVDs at a time, and you would go. And first it was paper; it wasn't even online. Then eventually
Yeah.
they got it online. You would fill out like your wish list, so you'd put a list of 10 or 100 movies you want, and as soon as you mail back the other ones in prepaid envelopes, they'd send you a new one. Now,
Did didn't
interesting
Blockbuster have the
fact,
opportunity
yes,
to
the
invest
CEO of Blockbuster turned down the
Netflix?
opportunity to buy Netflix when it was mail order for $50,000.
He fucked up.
Yeah,
Major.
crazy.
They
And
have a system like that, called GameFly. Have you ever seen or used that for your kids?
no, I mean, they have the Xbox Live where they can
Well,
download
now
any
you can
game.
just download it on the console. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah.
So also, I do want to say with this Amazon Prime, I just got the email the other day that they
Ads.
are now showing commercials on their movies unless you pay an extra $3 a month.
Yeah, I've had Amazon Prime ever since I was going to college, like night
But
courses, and I think I got it a
for
student
the
discount or
shipping,
something.
we
Yeah,
have it for the shipping only, and
I've had it for years just for the one day or now same
yeah,
day Prime shipping, but I don't
they
really
got a
I do
lot of good
watch
movies.
yeah, no, I use it a lot. Now, Fee, she boycotts Amazon. She's not with all that big corporation shit, but
So
I use
you
it
know,
for the shipping, like you
so
said.
we narrowed down our streaming services because I just heard on the radio or earlier this week the average home pays 120 for streaming
We
services.
we canceled all of ours except Amazon Prime.
So we have Amazon Prime, but we also have Disney, Hulu. There's two other big ones we get for free
Right.
because
So
like
we
our Verizon plan is really high, so we get a bunch for free.
Well, we canceled all of them because because we didn't really watch it, to be honest. We didn't watch anything on Disney Plus, rarely Netflix, rarely Hulu, but I did buy Paramount Plus because it was like $2 for 2 months because I wanted to watch that South Park Into the Panderverse. Yo,
Yeah,
those
so
South Park movies are funny as shit, man.
Peacock is kind of my favorite, and we get that for free too. I forget why we get it
But I
for
do
free
plan
for
on
some reason.
canceling it after the 2 months.
Um, Eating in a restaurant has become a social experience. I disagree with this. I think this has always been a social experience. I think it was more back in the day before devices.
Yeah, and before DoorDash and stuff like that, right? I mean, this
Yeah,
is
so
like a
I
2018
disagree with
article
this
too,
one.
so
Although
I don't know.
this article is written before COVID.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Eating restaurants has become a social experience. I wouldn't say that. I don't know. I mean, I personally, I am a fan of going out to eat at a restaurant. But I think with the economy and with tipping culture, I don't think that this is a true statement in 2024.
So, it always depends, like, so I travel all the time, and a lot of time people are taking us out, like, and I am flexing a little bit here, but like on not last night before, we went to Morton's, which is a chain steakhouse, and our bill
Yeah.
was like 2 grand. But
Jeez.
I have no idea, I didn't pay for it, but
For how many
and I'm
people was it?
um 8,
Oh, okay. So a big
9.
party. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we like 150, 200 each,
Yeah.
um
A steak, a drink, a freaking dessert.
but we were there for like 3 hours, and that's a lot. But DoorDash is, it's funny you say DoorDash. So we're heading to a work trip in the Caribbean, which no one can complain about, on
Yeah, yeah.
Sunday, and we're gonna miss my daughter's birthday, which I missed last year because I was hanging out with you. I don't know if you remember that, but
I do kind of remember that now that you say that.
yeah, I was hanging
Jeez.
out with you at your house, and so my daughter. So one thing we told her, we're like, she loves Dairy Queen. And she loves
Mm,
Dairy Queen Blizzard. She'd them every day if she could. And
yeah.
I looked it up. You can DoorDash ice cream. So I was like, all from the Caribbean, I'll DoorDash some ice cream to you at home on your birthday.
It's all about those Oreo blizzards, yo.
Oreo. So I'm a peanut butter guy, so I like the peanut butter cup and cookie
I
dough.
like
Now they
peanut
got
butter.
peanut
Yeah,
butter pie. That's
I'm
my
with you on that.
um. Oh, this for me, this is
Even
really
more,
true.
yeah. Even more so.
So a
Damn.
lot of people know I run large companies, and I always tell my like middle management team, like general managers, regional managers, I tell them, hey, when I go on vacation, I'm going to check my email a couple times a day.
Yeah,
I don't think you have to, but if you have time, do it.
yeah.
It helps you stay tuned in. Now there are days like this next week, I'm going to be in the Caribbean, although it's a work trip, so it's kind of a conflict of interest. But I I'll take 6 hours where I will purposefully put my phone on silent.
Yeah, but that's isn't it hard to do?
For
It's like
me, it
you
is, but that's my nature.
like when I worked at a corporate, job and I was in management, checking the emails, it wasn't like a chore or a task. It was almost like you wanted to do it.
It's funny you say that. So today on Facebook, under the Extreme channel, I saw an article that someone got an email from their boss, and it said, "I sent this to you 3 days ago, and you haven't responded." Well, the boss sent it to him Friday late afternoon,
Yeah.
and it was Monday morning, and they're like, "You didn't send it to me 3 days ago. You sent it to me 30 business minutes ago."
Yeah.
And
You told me that.
you expect me to work on the weekend? And I commented on it. Answering an email is not work. It's like that's easy.
Yeah.
I mean,
But he has a
I'm
point though too. The other guy did have a point, but yeah, to I would have checked it. I'm not gonna sit here with a red one on my email thing. Like I'm gonna check it and respond to it.
so I'm going to the Nuggets game tonight. Just flexing again. During breaks, I'm going to check my email. I mean,
Yeah.
it's easy.
Or during downtime, or if you're not interested in what the play's going on or whatever, I'm sure,
That's
you
not.
know?
I watch every play, but
No, all right, all right.
yeah. Um, that's
Wow.
true. We
Wow.
didn't know what a terrorist attack was
So
before
2001.
2001.
Well,
We
and
didn't know.
now, you know what I don't like right now? Like, especially if you're on Twitter or X, everybody is kind of like 2024 is going to be even crazier. Like, a lot of people are putting this negative energy into the air. I mean, it is an election year, and there's a lot of pressure building. The powder keg is going to blow, but I'd hate to think that, those days they're not behind us, that there might be even more before us, you know?
Well, even it was Perry. So this isn't terrorism. Well, it's domestic terrorism. Perry, Iowa. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Right outside Des Moines.
Yeah.
17-year-old kid shot a sixth grader. And
Did you
five
see
other people.
was that the guy, but he shot a sixth grader. I thought it was a high school shooting though.
So it's Perry, Iowa, Mr. Mint. In small towns,
Oh,
it's
they have both.
0 to 12th grade in the same school.
They found the shooter's TikTok account and everything. Did you see all that?
I didn't. I know he killed himself,
Yeah,
but
it's crazy.
oh wow, this is like we haven't looked at this. I swear to God, this is this is yeah.
Yeah,
We I think you and I have talked about this before. Our children and your children are a little bit older than mine,
Yeah.
but they have active shooter drills
Right. Like you got your tornado drill, your hurricane drill, your
and your
blizzard,
active
and
shooter
your
drill. We
active
never
shooter.
had that.
No, we didn't. But it was a thing,
So
like, Columbine happened when I was in middle school.
so that was 99. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it was 99 it happened.
Well,
Yeah,
it
that was
wa then I was in high school then because I was class of 2002.
okay.
But
I'm
I'm
pretty sure it
Columbine
was
was
90.
what's that?
I'm gonna look it up while we're talking.
Oh, yeah, Fee said fire drill. Yeah, because, I don't know, people always say Columbine. I don't think they remember they were called the Trench Coat Mafia. Do you remember
Yep.
that?
Yep.
But that was
99.
the
It was 4/20/99.
you know what's so crazy about that? Like, so 25 years later, and we still haven't figured out how to keep these weapons away from kids. Like, I know there's going to be a whole argument on
Gun
banning
control.
weapons. I'm always going to be against it because of the reason why it's in our constitution, and that's even more prevalent since 2020 and now, in my opinion.
This
But
is a future Gem X topic, but I will
yeah, yeah.
say this. We
But
should
my
ban gun. If we
but
ban
how,
guns, just like we did cocaine and heroin, it'll work awesome.
yeah, if you ban drugs, look at no one's a drug addict anymore.
Yeah, it's like it worked really well with drugs. All
Damn,
right. This topic is taking us a lot longer than we thought, but that's okay. It's a good
that's
topic, I
cool.
think.
Yeah.
That's true. If we wanted to hear from Bill Clinton or George W. or George H.W., we had to wait for his annual State of the Union address.
Yeah.
Jimmy
But see,
Carter or Ronald
this is
Reagan.
arguably Trump's downfall, though. A little too free with the Twitter. But you know what I don't like on the other side? I like the fact that the president can put out a statement. But do you think Joe Biden is the one
No,
controlling his Twitter? So that's
not
what I don't
even.
like.
No,
So
he
now,
does not control his tweets. So
so now it's okay to have a fake profile, essentially. I mean, it's a real profile, but it's not really the person behind the picture that's making
well,
the tweets.
let me ask you this. So think of other big Twitter people that are prominent figures, whether they're a musician or a sports figure. I bet you they have people manage their Twitter instead of
Yeah,
them.
it does happen. Some are hands on, and they shouldn't be. Do you follow Mark Cuban at all?
Yes.
This guy should not be on Twitter, man. Bad take after bad. In my opinion, I could be the wrong opinion, but I look at that. I'm like, this guy should not be tweeting. I
So
guess he's got fuck you money, but to me,
yeah,
it's like,
which he's earned because he's
yeah,
smart.
yeah,
Don't
but
get me
just
wrong.
because,
I think I feel the same way about him as you do.
yeah,
But I can't deny he's a smart motherfucker.
yeah, but here's my thing. It's like, okay, you got in early with the sports internet game. That doesn't mean you know about politics. That doesn't mean that you know about all these other things that have nothing to do with how you made your money, I know he's a venture capitalist, and because of that and investing in other companies, he's got his hands in a lot of things, but it's like, just because you figured out sports radio on the internet and happened to be in a position to do it when it was new and budding, why does that mean that you have a good take on whatever? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. So don't say it out loud. Do you remember your original phone number at your parents' house? I know mine.
No, but Fee probably remembers a lot of my old phone numbers.
Okay.
You know what's
But
funny is I have Fee's old phone number. Something happened where I took over her phone and she got a new phone, and I ended up with her phone number that she had, I think, when we were teenagers.
so I had to tell a guy today I got to do one of the funnest things in my job. I got to offer a guy a six-figure job. That's so fun. Like that's what you live for, right?
Mhm.
And he accepted and it was great. I'm really excited about him coming on board. He's going to run a state for us. And I told him my phone number and he was kind of like this. And I was like, I've had that phone number since 1997. It's
Yeah,
like I won't give it up. And what's interesting is my wife, we got the phones at the same time when we were dating. Her phone number is so of the 10 digits in a phone number. Her
right.
phone number is 3 digits difference. I mean, we have almost the exact same phone numbers. And I
Yeah,
mean, you
that's
have my
cool.
phone number, but
Yeah.
you probably don't know what it is though, because it's saved in
No,
your phone.
that happened just the other day. I think they asked. We opened a bank account for our youngest daughter. She got a high school account, and the lady asked her phone number. And me and Fee both looked at her to see if she was going to know her own phone number, because first of all, like, you don't,
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
15 years old. How often does she give it out? But I was going to be like, I don't know it. I'd have to look at your name and then look into the contact to see it.
Yeah. Same. I don't know my kids' phone numbers. Well,
Yeah,
even
I know.
nowadays, you don't have to tell people there's like sharing apps.
Yep.
If you both have iPhones, you can like hold them next to each
I don't
other.
know either of my kids' phone numbers, but I know Fee's though, but that's it. Hers and mine.
100% true. This next one. I mean, you don't answer the phone, someone sends you a text.
You know what's so crazy about that? I purposely disabled my voicemail because I'm not gonna let you hold me hostage for 2 minutes while I listen to this long ass message. But for some reason, out of nowhere, my voicemail box is open again, and I'm getting people leaving me voicemails. I'm like, what the fuck?
So I know you have an iPhone because we iMessage each other back and
Yeah, yeah.
forth, but did you see that new feature they put out like 2 months ago? You can listen to the voicemail live and cut into it if you want, like an old answering machine.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
No, but I see where they'll have like a text paragraph of it. That was way more
yeah,
helpful too. Like, okay,
I agree. Like even today, for the collectors watching, XM Maestro is coming from a shipping company, and I was in meetings all day yesterday, but they left me a voicemail. But I could read it during the meeting, or to Jem's
right,
point,
yeah.
it dictates it out. So I sent it to Mrs. X, and I was like, call them and set up this delivery.
They were like, "Sir, we have 2 caskets here for you." Like,
Well, they just delivered a Queen Studios life size
literally a casket.
Spider-Man. Everyone has a smartphone, so this is true too. And my master's thesis was on Apple. And
Mm,
really quick, I think this is a good story. And I know we're long, we got to get to Epstein, but
yeah.
Nokia was the number one cell phone company out there. Back in the day, when you went to look at cell phones, you had Nokia, Motorola, Kyocera. Um, I mean, there's like 10 brands.
Yeah.
And Nokia, the number one, Samsung, remember, and Nokia was going bankrupt, and they had a board meeting. And the head of R&D for Nokia set up 2 tables. This is true. I wrote about my master thesis. And he put blankets over the tables, and the entire board, the owners, the main shareholders were there. And he lifted a blanket, and it had the like 15 current Nokia models out there. And he goes, all of my research and developers are trying to make these phones better. We're trying to
Mm,
be best on the market. Then he lifted up the other one that showed an iPhone 2, and it wasn't called a 2, but it was the second iPhone that Apple made. He
mhm.
goes, Apple's entire R&D team is working on this one phone. We're
Okay.
working on 15 different ones.
Yep.
That's why we're failing.
Damn.
And Nokia's gone, as you know. They're not
Well, here's the but they had the most indestructible phones, especially that Nokia brick with Snake too. I always see that you see these like memes where it's like people are gonna find this in the future, far future one day, and it's gonna be like a fossil. Like, what is this? It'll
so
still work too.
did I ever tell you this? I always had multiple jobs. I mean, I do now even. And
Yeah.
one of my part-time jobs was I worked at Best Buy when they sold these phones back in the 90s, late
Mhm.
90s, and we had dummy models. It wasn't even real ones like they have nowadays if you go into Verizon or AT&T.
Right.
And once that dummy model was decommissioned, we didn't have anything to do with them. So I kept them all. So I still have a few, but
That's cool.
what I would do is I'd go to parties and I'd pretend to be talking on this dummy model, and then I would start screaming, "You know what? Fuck you!" And I'd throw it against the wall, and it would shatter. And people would be like, "Damn, boy, don't play around."
That's the ultimate slam the phone down, which you can't do on cell phones, right? So,
Yeah.
unless you have the
Yep.
flip phone.
All right. We'll look at this one, and then we'll move to Epstein because we're running out of time.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, you if you have no idea before 2001 if you didn't fly, you didn't you didn't need a ticket to get through security. You could go to the gate and hug people when they got off the plane. You didn't
Yeah, I
need to take
remember
your
that. I
shoes
remember,
off.
like, you getting picked up by like, when I was a kid, I remember as a kid flying to, like, New York for my for the first time by myself, and, like, when I land, like, all my extended family is out there waiting for me, like, right out the
Yeah.
gate, you know?
You
Like,
didn't have to take your shoes off. It
yeah.
didn't matter about liquids. Uh, I mean, it was,
I still don't
yeah.
understand why the liquid thing is such a big deal, you know? Like, that's not what caused the attacks. Like, when was that ever an issue, you know?
All right. I think this is, uh, damn,
Oh,
there's
hold
a
on, real
ton
quick. Go
more.
go up real quick to the cell phone thing. So they had a recent picture of the ball dropping in Times Square, and the comments were like, "This is the most frightening thing I've ever seen." All you see is people pointing their phones at it. It's like so crazy.
This could be a whole episode, man. This is,
Yeah.
you have the option to watch television without, that's not true anymore, actually, like we just talked about with Prime.
We're coming back full circle.
Yeah, use Google Chrome, and that's not a big deal. You
When you
make
could watch
playlists.
without ads, but you're gonna have to just keep paying more and more and more.
Actually, that's it. We got through it all. Sweet. Perfect.
So,
All right.
all right. So speaking of starting 2024 off with a bang, Epstein didn't kill himself. What, 3 years ago now? Was it?
Fee, if you're still watching, please take care of our boy, because he might have an accident. Not from me, but all right. Let me give some background. All right, a lot of people don't know basic background about Epstein, so let me give the basic background, and then you
why
take
is this
over.
important? Who went there and who didn't go there?
Yeah, but all right. So Epstein, actually, believe it or not, he originally was a teacher, like back in the 70s, and then he got into investment banking and became. Nobody knew exactly how much he was worth, but people said he was a billionaire. He always said he was like worth, only 700 million. And so he got really rich in investment banking. And he, like most rich people, he started buying a shitload of stuff, including his own island and nice cars. And he made a lot of big connections in, film and music and in political realms. Well, long story short, very, very long story short, back in it was like 2009 or 8 or somewhere around there, 2010, he got caught fucking little girls and or one person, and so he actually went to jail for only like a year, and most people don't know that. And then he got out, and I mean, and we could have a whole nother topic about pedophilia and how those people need to die. And I mean, I think you and I have the same feeling. But anyway, he got out, and then it continued to make these big connections, both politically and in pop culture and everything, until I think it was like 2018, 2019, he was finally convicted of not only more, pedophilia type shit that is just so I mean, you're a father of girls.
Yeah.
It's like, if anyone hurt our girls, I have a girl. I mean, I would risk going to jail to destroy them,
Gladly, I would gladly go.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But anyway, so he got caught not only doing that, but he was sex trafficking.
Right.
And so he went to jail, and then shortly after, his girlfriend, I can't pronounce it, Maxine, whatever her name is.
Maxine is what I always remember.
Yeah, she was also convicted, and she's in jail today for like a 20-year sentence.
Right.
And then, to Jem's point, he was in jail for a few years, and he said, you know what, I'm going to release. I was sex trafficking for a bunch of important people, and I'm going to tell you guys who all those important people were. And then all of a sudden, the cameras turned off in his cell block, and he killed himself. So,
yeah,
during his trial, and I can't remember her name. Her name's Jocelyn, or it starts with a J, but the one making the main accusations that he was a sex trafficker that got him put behind jail. And I'll let you take over with the more current stuff, Jem. All that was sealed court documents. And that is the Epstein list. Well, there's two Epstein lists. One is the sealed court documents, which they just released about 25%, 30% of them. And then the other was, so remember, he was rich. He had his private island. People would fly there. So there was a flight list of who he would fly there on a regular basis. Now, Jem might say differently. Just because they went to his island doesn't mean things were going on, although a lot of the allegations say that's where the shady shit happened. So I'll turn it over to you. That's kind of a background, if you didn't know who Epstein was and what led up to all this shit.
So basically, Ghislaine Maxwell, she was convicted of sex trafficking. Like, that's the crime she was convicted of. So it's almost like, if you're sex trafficking, who were the victims? Who were the clients? So that's what everybody wants to know. How could you be arrested for this or convicted of this? And then where's the list? So that's why it's important. Everybody wants to know who was at the island. And before all this stuff came out, I was under the impression, if somebody went there one time, maybe they were invited there by another friend. You went there one time and saw what was going on. It sounds like they had a lot of underage girls. It sounds like Epstein purposefully was pushing these victims onto these people in powerful positions in order to blackmail them, to have something on them. And it's funny, you mentioned his net worth and everything he was doing before. It's almost like, why couldn't you just enjoy your money and your time and just chill out? But instead, he had this whole elaborate system set up, if you will. So anyway, for the last few years, ever since she was convicted, everybody wants to know who was on the list. So initially when we scheduled this episode, the list was supposed to come out on January 1st. And for whatever reason, it didn't come out. It was pushed back January 2nd. Everyone's looking. Then finally it gets released. But it's not like a list of names that says, here's all the people. It's more of a deposition, interviewing of victims and such. It's like a searchable deposition. So, people will go on there and they'll search Trump. And yep, Trump's name shows up 3 times in the deposition. However, if you actually read the deposition, it's like, did you see Donald Trump? Yes. Did he ever go to the island? No. One time we went to Donald Trump's casino. Like, so that's why his name shows up. So you really have to break down and read these depositions. Did you see what it looked like? It's like a bunch of files. Each has a certain number of pages.
It was depositions and affidavits from that trial that led to his, incarceration.
Right.
And to your point, there's a lot of stuff in there. So like we've talked about on a few previous episodes, and this will probably be a topic of a future episode, our media is so corrupt. If you watch Fox, it's corrupt. If you watch CNN, it's corrupt. CNN, to Jem's point, is saying Trump was on the Epstein files. It's like, no, what they were landing once in Atlantic City because New York was shut down, and they said, did you want to call Trump and see if his casino was available for us to hang out? That was it.
I saw that.
Then if you watch Fox, they're going to nonstop talk about Bill Clinton, because in there she said Bill Clinton likes them, or he told the person testifying that Bill Clinton likes them young. But don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of Bill Clinton, but it doesn't say he was sleeping with underage girls. I mean, I think his name showed up. 70-year-old guy. Maybe he liked 40-year-old women,
Bill, I think Bill's name showed up the most out of anyone. But the thing about Bill is, like, he had a sex scandal while he was the president. He got impeached for it, and he lied on camera. I did not have sexual relationships with that woman. He's been having inappropriate sexual.
That's not a lie. Having your dick sucked isn't sexual relations in some people's viewpoint.
What I'm saying is, I don't think anybody is really surprised on a lot of the names that are showing up in the deposition. Stephen Hawking is one of the names that showed up, and there's memes galore on the internet now making fun of Stephen Hawking. He's passed away since, but
he's dead.
He was wheelchair bound. He wasn't really able to move. He was kind of stuck in a certain position, but he was at the island apparently, or allegedly,
during a young girl orgy, is what this one actually said. Yeah, he's the only one that really alleged sexual interaction of everybody. Bill Clinton wasn't. Other than saying he liked him young. Michael Jackson wasn't. Actually, if you dive in, it says Michael Jackson was very respectful.
He turned down a massage or something, right?
Yeah, from a young girl. So don't believe the media saying Bill Clinton, Michael Jackson were on the Epstein list. That none of Donald Trump. Don't believe any of that. I mean, their names were mentioned in some of the affidavits that convicted him. And to Jem's point, so they've only released 40 of the 150 or so pages, and they're supposed to do a second release.
What was it, 40 page or 40 documents? Because I think it was like 950 something pages.
Okay, 40 documents of the 150 documents. So right. So they're supposed to do a second release, but we don't know if it's going to be like. I mean, really, it didn't tell us anything new. This first release. That's the sad truth.
A lot of these names have already been leaked. And we had already expected a lot of these names to show up. But even though the thumbnail or the title says the list is out, I mean, it's kind of out, but it's not really a definitive list of people, how many times they went there. But like you said, more so like the deposition.
So you and I were talking offline, and as we've said many times, we try not to talk about our topics offline because we want it raw on here.
Right.
I think a good indicator is there's a lot of allegations that shit happened on the island. There's accusations actually from the main witness who said she was forced to sleep with the British royalty. Her name starts with a J.
And didn't he step down from his position as well on January 1st? A lot of people resigned on January 1st.
Yeah. So a lot of allegations, and I need to address one of the comments, by the way. But a lot of allegations are that the stuff happened on the island, but there's still been no proof of that other than a lot of allegations. But to Jem's point, if somebody went to the island, because there's pictures of everybody with this guy, he took pictures with everybody. And CNN, who hates Trump, is circulating the picture with Trump nonstop.
Yeah.
Fox, who hates Democrats, is circulating the Bill Clinton picture nonstop. But
Yep.
it's if they kept going back to the island.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's and I'm not, and again, that's not guilty. That's just, oh my God, let's talk about that person a little bit more.
Like Bill Gates.
Yeah. So all right. Iron Marine, who's I bet he follows your channel too. He follows mine. Zach Morris liked his older high school nurse. This is my favorite Saved by the Bell episode because that nurse, I've
I
told my
remember
wife
that.
this, so I have no problem saying this. Black hair, and she also guested in Full House once, but she wasn't. It was like years later, and she'd lost some of her physical appeal. I mean, obviously, I don't know her personally, but
Wasn't that episode like Kelly was starting to give him the time of day, but now he was already over her, so he was just dogging her out for
correct.
the nerd?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that.
That nurse is like one of my bucket lists. Well, probably not anymore. She's probably 70
That's
now,
your,
but
that's your hall pass?
Shakira is my hall pass. But yeah, I had to address that Iron Man because it's
Didn't Shakira get in trouble for something recently too?
I don't follow her
Yeah.
socially. I mean, I'm not a huge
Well, how are
fan
you
of
gonna
her
know when you
music.
get your chance?
Yeah. I'm gonna
Now,
run
so
into
well,
her
here's the thing
soon.
with the whole list. So
Hey,
what's good? Is there anything? Go ahead. Go ahead.
did I tell you in November I sat next to Warren Buffett on a flight?
No, that's crazy though.
I shit you not, dude. I was just like, I was like, it's got to be him. It's got to be him. Then he asked, so I didn't sit next to him. I was in 2B. He was in 2E. So
But
we were
they'll
in
call
first
you
class.
Mr. Buffett or something. Like when you're in first
Well, no,
class,
no.
they call you
So
by your last name.
he still had a paper passport or not passport, paper ticket, and he
Boarding
showed it
pass.
to her because he was catching a connection. But
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was just like he looked rough though, man.
No,
He's
he's
getting
old as
old.
hell.
Yeah, sorry. I just that was a flex again. He was
I'm
flying
trying to I'm trying to
commercially.
stay
That
on
was
topic.
crazy.
The Epstein list being the most popular thing. But here's the thing. So like what do we expect from these names that get outed? Like what is it that people want to see? They want to see people get arrested. I mean, they want to see people like obviously people would love to see Trump getting thrown in jail for they'll make up things to try to get him thrown in jail. But people
Yeah,
also
they'll
on
do
the
the
other
same with the Clintons though too. And don't
well, that's
get me
what I was
wrong,
gonna
I'm not
say.
a fan of the Clintons.
No, I was gonna say Republicans would want to see the same happen for Bill Clinton. But I don't know. What do you think is going to come out of it? I mean, personally, I don't think anything is going to come out of any of the
Nothing.
names that come out.
Not a thing will come out of this because here's the truth. These are legal documents in the court. And if there was already sufficient evidence that there was wrongdoing, our courts should have taken action on that already and arrested those people.
Right, yeah, but and before this was even released to the public.
Yeah. It's like if there were illegal actions, our courts aren't going to wait until there's public outcry. I mean,
Right.
that's us asking for someone to be fired. So I don't think they're going to release anything scathing. I have no doubt in my mind that there is scathing stuff in there. And who knows who it could be towards Trump, it could be towards Clinton, it could be towards, someone else, but
Well,
they
here's
will
the
not
thing.
release that. They would have already released it.
So who's going to be in charge of that? The Department of Justice? And nobody benefits from Bill Clinton getting arrested. I mean, getting justice served is the reason, but like I can see they wish Trump was on there more because they would have definitely used that to try to prevent him from running like they're trying to do every other thing to prevent
We
him.
talked about that. If there was scathing stuff against Trump, it would have been released in 2015 before the election.
It would have got leaked before it was even officially released. Like they would have got it out there right away.
I feel the same about Hillary too, because people are saying she was mentioned in the documents, but again, nothing wrongdoing or inappropriate.
Or what about Oprah was mentioned a lot? People suspect Oprah. There's this actually. Do you remember? There's a video circulating now of Obama giving everybody some type of peace medal around their neck, and it's like every single person is somebody that's implicated in these documents.
Yeah, but again, mentioned or implicated. There's a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gone through. I didn't care enough to go through all of the damn documents and see. Was the name mentioned in passing, or was it mentioned that they definitely did something or didn't do something? I don't know.
Yeah, so it was. I don't know, but so really, it was finally released, or at least part of it, and it didn't tell us shit.
A lot of bullshit.
Yeah, which is about the standard for our country nowadays, right?
There's also a video circulating of they actually have like video footage and pictures and a lot more evidence, but it's like, why would they give it up? Because they can still use that to blackmail these people themselves. So why would they make it all public,
Well, I think the last part of this story, we got about 5 minutes left, is why now? Why now? And
Mhm.
there's an election coming, and this isn't damning either side.
It's
By
don't
I mean,
look over here, look over here. That's what it is.
exactly. Every time, no matter who's in power, that something big is happening, there's something equally as big happening
Yeah.
that sometimes we know about it and it's just not getting the attention. Sometimes we don't even know about it.
You gotta see what laws have recently been passed under everybody's nose. What did so and so sign into law that is a terrible thing that have never should have gone through, but because everybody was looking over here, it got through, or however the hell that shit works.
Yeah, no, it's that's what's really going on. And who knows, I mean, it's that the our no media is right. I mean,
No.
I
Well,
just
that's what I texted you the other day. So I think I mentioned it on one of these streams before. The name of the act that was what was it? It was ratified. Hold on.
yeah, my
The
phone's over there, but
Smith-Mundt Act, right?
yeah, that allows the media essentially to lie. I mean, that's an
So
oversimplification times five, but it does,
right.
right?
So it was a law that Obama ratified.
In what?
Where
Which
is it?
which year? Like 10 or 11?
What's that?
Yeah, when he was in
What
office.
year? Yeah. That allows the media to push propaganda. And ever
Correct.
since then, that's why there's been such a shift in our culture, in our civilization, because you have these, like you mentioned, CNN spewing this, Fox News is spewing that, and it's biased. You look at these interviews. Like I watched this interview of this woman interviewing Vivek, and it's like, this is not an interview. She's interrupting him, telling him that what the answer should be. But it's like, aren't you asking him a question? How are you trying to educate him with your bias? It's just insane that this is allowed. We have to put that Smith-Mundt Act back into place so that the media can be non-biased journalism, not insane biased propaganda.
Yep. No, and it's so frustrating. It's because you don't know what to believe, what not to believe, and it does affect our lives. Not directly. I've said this many times. Like you see people. Oh my God, Trump was elected president in 16. I'm gonna kill myself. My life's over. Oh my
Right.
God,
I'm
Trump's out of
moving.
office.
Yeah.
This world's gonna end. Now, granted, everyone knows. And if you think our economy is good, you need to go to the grocery store because I was there today and it was bad.
Or
But
or be in any kind of collectible hobby, whether it's
yeah,
the
that's
stuff
true.
that's behind you or behind
Now,
me, all this stuff.
now, and I said this to my wife today. So we were just buying some meat. So my youngest, who I'm taking to the game tonight, it's his birthday tomorrow, and he's believe it or not, he's like me. He's like, I want bacon wrap filet mignon on the smoker for my birthday dinner. I'm like, you the
There
man.
you go.
That's a great choice. So we're at the store buying it, and um it's ridiculously expensive. And a few of the other things we literally got like three items and spent $100 and something dollars. And it
Yeah.
wasn't even like super nice meat. This was a normal grocery store. And
And nowadays you gotta watch out for the fake meat. They're trying to put that on us.
yeah. But I watched no, I didn't watch. I saw on Twitter how the current administration and the previous administration did this too. They were like, we have done such a good job with the economy. And someone questioned them on grocery prices. And they said
Yeah.
they can't control grocery prices. It's like, what?
Until it goes down, then they're gonna take credit
Yeah,
for it.
yeah, yeah, like they did with gas. And previous administrations did it too. So I'm not picking on Democrats or
And,
Biden.
and I want to say that to that point too, because we had a comment too of Jonathan in the chat. My grandfather, when I was a kid, told me, you got to read both newspapers. You got to read this story, and then you got to make a decision yourself. So it's not new. Even though I mentioned the Smith-Mundt Act, this shit has been going on since I was a kid. My grandfather, and all that stuff. So it's always you gotta read both sides and then figure out the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Well, and I'll even say too, I feel like I'm a pretty reasonable person. And Jonathan's talking about Fox. So
Yeah.
most of my views, not all of them, like I voted I didn't vote for Biden, but I voted Democrat the last election, the mid election we had. But most of my views are conservative. But I've been, so you think, okay, you're a Fox fan. No, I watch Fox and like a lady says something simple, and then the newscaster, so she says she's gonna kill everybody. I'm like, no, she didn't say that, you fucking idiot.
You know what's
I mean,
funny? So I would watch Fox and CNN, and to me, Fox always seemed more sensible, more common sense than CNN. But I really haven't trusted Fox ever since they fired Tucker. They feel more like how CNN was feeling to me at the time, where like not passing the smell test. I agree that right now, Fox, I feel like you can't trust any of the anchors, and it's just like the narrative that's being passed down from up top that they have to that they have to spew.
So I'm going to push pause on this because I think discussing Tucker Carlson would be a great topic in the future.
Yeah,
Because he's an interesting cat on many levels, and I am very torn on him, and that's all I'll say without
you're torn on
revealing
Tucker.
it. Yeah, and we'll wait for a live show, and I'll tell you my thoughts on
I want to
Tucker.
talk about
Um,
the X platform. I want to talk about Tucker, and I want to talk about Vivek. Maybe we could plan that for the next show, because there's a lot of people that are speaking truth now. And let's say like this: they're speaking truth, but to your point, it doesn't sound like all of that truth is passing the smell test. So I guess we'll have to talk about it next show.
so, hey, did it surprise you when I said I voted Democrat the last election? Not presidential, but
No, it doesn't surprise me, because I'm the same way. Like, I don't vote based on party. I vote based on the candidate and their policies. Like, I would vote for a Democrat, no problem. If their policies were like hell yes, I'm with that. If Vivek was a Democrat, I would consider voting for him. So I'm never a blind party allegiance kind of guy. I kind of grew up Democrat because I was into rap music and all my friends, we were in like city kids. I never identified with a Republican, especially growing up. But as I'm getting older, and it's not that I view my views are Republican or conservative, but it just seems to me the policies that Trump has, that Vivek supports, even RFK, but he also has a lot of liberal policies that I don't agree with. Just make more sense to me. It feels more like common sense. But yeah, it
well,
doesn't surprise me that you said that, because like what you said, I feel like I'm a reasonable guy as well. If this guy's making a lot of sense, I don't give a shit what party he's with.
so I'll tell you this. And we'll end with this, and this might get me. Hey, I don't care. So, the state I live in, just like everybody else, we had COVID. We're a very liberal state, and the governor at the time, I thought he did a great job with COVID. He really did. I was impressed. He
Who
shut
did
down when we needed to. He kept us running when we needed to. He
in
got a good
Colorado?
balance. Yeah, yeah. And with that, you want to block that person in the chat?
How do
Can we
you do?
block
How do
that
you even do
person?
it? Oh, we got to make somebody a mod. Fee wanted to be a mod. I was gonna run that by
Yeah,
you.
that's fine. All right, I got him out.
Oh, okay.
They kept trying to sell feet pics for $5. That should be a topic. Feet pics.
Yo, who's buying feet pics? You can see feet anywhere. I never understood that.
So I'm sorry. But anyway, we'll mod feet. But
It's like
with that being
Seinfeld.
said,
I have feet. Feet don't impress me. Like,
you can look at your own.
I can look at my own feet. Like,
Yeah, you should have undercut the person trying to sell them for $5.
that was from a Seinfeld thing where Elaine says, "What are you, a breast man or a leg man?" And he says, "A breast man." And she's like, "Oh, I thought you would have been a leg man." He's like, "Why? I have legs." It's like, I'm trying to see the shit that I don't have.
So anyway, 2022, they had a re-election for our governor, second term, and the Republican candidate, I watched both their debates. Every single time she was asked a question, her response was how bad she thought that the current governor did. Not once was a solution. I'm like,
Nope.
you're a dumb
Yeah.
bitch, and
Well, that's a lot of why do you like Biden answers. It's never
because they
what
don't like
Biden has
Trump.
done.
But
It's always they don't like Trump.
he has the current governor has a successful record, even though he may endorse things I don't agree with.
Mm.
So, but yeah, so great show tonight. So next week, as I kind of hinted at, I'm in the Caribbean, so Jam and I are going to test internet signal midweek, and if so, we will have a show Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, which will be the normal time moving forward. And of course, you can always catch us on the replay. We appreciate you guys that leave the comments live. We do go through them after the fact. We appreciate you guys that leave comments after the fact. We do respond to those as well. And we're just getting started, baby. This is just the beginning.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks,
All
everybody.
right, guys.
Have
Thanks for
a
watching.
great weekend.
Catch you next time.
Take care.
Take care.